Cool. What's up, guys? Aaron Tan here, and this is the final video of Busy 1326 Fundamentals of Entrepreneurship. And as I promised at the very start in week 1 of this module, one thing I really wanted to get you guys thinking about is if you were to pursue entrepreneurship as a career path, the realities that you need to consider, and oftentimes realities, not to say that they're ignored by textbooks, but sometimes they're overlooked by textbooks, which is why experiential learning has formed such a big part of this module. And for this final week, what I wanted to do was, again, just bring in some of that reality for you guys. And we're very lucky to have a health coach and MMA fighter, which she'll introduce herself in a moment. But this person I thought was the perfect person to talk to you about balancing both your physical health and partly mental health as well. So Lacey, thank you for joining us. Could you just introduce yourself to our students, please?
Hey everyone, my name's Lacey Rochelle. I'm from Brisbane, Australia. I'm a Muay Thai fighter and a health coach. I've learned NLP, nutrition, I'm accredited in boxing, and now I'm studying psychology. Now I coach people one-on-one to help get them on track in their life. I am studying at uni, building a business, and an athlete, training twice a day. So I know how important it is to have everything running smoothly so that you can get the results that you want.
Guys told you she was the perfect person because she's in your situation. She's studying as well. So Lacey, thank you for sharing that. Just to quickly build upon, what is your business that you're building alongside your studies and training? If we could just ask that.
Yeah, so coaching people one-on-one. So I'm literally helping people find out what they want their life to look like, how they want their health to look, and then structuring that and holding them, keeping them accountable to that and getting them on track with that. So it's a lot of, the psychology aspect of it, the NLP side of it, the nutrition side of it, as well as what I've learned, as an athlete. And, you can't learn that theory. You have to go through that personal journey yourself. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, I mean, I think because you're studying, you're building a business, and you're very aware, obviously, the physical side. Why do you think it's so important for especially startup entrepreneurs or people starting up a business to look after their health and well-being?
Peak performance. Your brain functions so much better when you're sleeping correctly, when you're drinking enough water, when you're having your 2 serves of veg, 2 serves of fruit, 5 serves of vegetable. You need that when you're, desiring so much from yourself. So you're probably studying right now. You need all the brain power you can get. And, they found that different foods impact how it's stored, how different hormones are sent off within the body. And then if you have a balanced diet, you can have balanced mood, balanced sleep, and as well as you think faster. I know for myself, I can actually feel the difference in my intelligence when I am running, because when you run as well, what happens is it actually lubricates your brain. And so I get some of the best ideas when I'm out running. And, if I want to perform my best, if I have a really good quality sleep, the next day I'm calmer, I'm getting more ideas, I'm faster, my moods are better. So it's literally if you think of yourself like a Ferrari, you want to put the best into that machine, and if you're feeding yourself McDonald's and you're drinking soft drink and you're smoking or whatever decisions you're making that are not, good for your health, you're pretty much putting junk inside that Ferrari, and what's going to happen within 100 meters is just going to conk out. And I've seen a lot of people who put their health on the back burner when they're building up their career, but the thing about that is it sets habits, it creates neural pathways, and you can't undo you can undo that, but it takes a long time, and once it's etched in, it's there. So try to get in while you're still building your life and build it together. I'm a big believer that all ships rise together. So, if you're building up your health at the same time, you're building up your, studying your brain and how you think and self-awareness, you're keeping yourself physically healthy, all of that comes together and you end up I've got so much done this year, and it's because I set all of those foundations and I set them solid, and then I built from the next on.
That's really cool. I just want to, you said so many cool things there. I just want to touch on one thing that is particularly about how people put their health on the back burner, especially when starting up. Do you think that's a conscious decision, or is it something that just happens because people are so busy when starting up a business that they just tend to forget it?
I think it's because you're pushing so hard in your career that it's very easy for it to be, you're tired at the end of a long day and you're like, can I, maybe sometimes you're doing 16, 18-hour days and you're like, how am I going to get in the gym and then balance sleep, so all of these different things start tugging at your time, and it's so easy to, especially when you're building a business, you get so like into it, you're like obsessed with it, you kind of get so involved in the game of building a business that the health just slips away, and it sits in the back of their mind and they're aware of it, they know that they need to fix it, but it just hasn't hit that threshold point for them, and unfortunately then it just kind of becomes a comfort zone for them, and then some kind of health crisis comes up, and then that's when they come to me or come to other people and say, look, I really need to fix this. But the reason I'm so adamant about it is because it's like, don't get to that point, like.
Sure. And actually I really like the fact that you're stressing it, because I mean, I can't remember whether I shared this earlier in the module, but actually I've been in that same situation, and I've literally blacked out twice from exhaustion, and you don't realize until it's too late. And I know you said you can undo it, but it does take time. It does take time, and I think it's best prevention is better than cure. So really, really cool that you said that. Other than my example of blacking out, what impacts can result from a failure to look after yourself as an individual?
First thing you'll notice is the decline in mental function. So you won't be able to take over tasks with the same kind of mindset. You'll be more stressed. You won't have the prefrontal cortex as engaged, because when you do have a lot of you're very nourished. That's the first part of your brain that's, like if you're lacking nourishment, that's the part of your brain that shows first. So that's like a clear indication that you're not feeding yourself correctly. You'll also notice that if you're training a lot, you won't recover, so you'll get sore. You'll probably won't be sleeping as well. So there's just the list is endless. The thing is, it's just so subtle that people don't notice it, and it just becomes who they are. Like they think, oh, I'm just tired. Oh, I'm just getting old. No, you're not taking care of yourself. Yeah.
Actually, I really like the fact that you clarify that where you said it's a subtlety, which you may not notice. Because one of the questions I was going to ask is not necessarily for people who are starting up, but people who are in that growth phase of entrepreneurship. From your experience, is it a case where people aren't paying attention, or is an element of, I don't want to say ego, but a sense of overconfidence, the fact that the business is growing? And do these people, are they more at risk or less at risk? What's your experience like with these people?
So define overconfidence. Do you mean they're just so confident in this area that they veer towards that direction, or what do you mean?
So in terms of when they're going through that growth phase, they've gone through that statistic, 95% of businesses fail within so many years. So when you're in that growth phase, it's very easy, because I've subjected myself to this. It's like, I think I've made it, and then you're growing, and then you think, actually, I don't need to look after my health, or you kind of overlook it. But as you said, because it's a subtlety, your brain function, your brain functions at a slower rate. You're not thinking as clearly, and so on. Is that always the case, or is it a case where people think, I'm doing well enough as it is, I don't need to look after my health? Is there a distinction?
I think that maybe that is a case for some people, but I haven't personally come across that. For me, it's really just people always know it. It's always that little voice in the back of their head. The people that contact me anyway, it's the voice in the back of their head, but it's just kind of like, I'll deal with that later. Later. And then later stacks up until that point where they're like, I have to deal with it now.
Okay, no, that's fair enough, especially when you said the whole later procrastination, if you will.
It's procrastinating, yeah.
Are there any other excuses or reasons why people give when not looking after their health?
Oh my God, there's so many excuses. It's such a trap to fall into, because when you start your health journey, there's this bit of resistance. Like, it's kind of like that whole, to get something moving, you have to push it first. And people like sitting there without the movement going, okay, I'm going to get on this health journey. And then they just sit there like, yeah, tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes, and they haven't taken action. So for people, that's probably the underlying reason for all of the excuses is that they're facing that initial discomfort of, I need to push myself to move, and it sucks to do that initial push. In terms of excuses that I've heard, it's I don't have time, I'm busy with the kids, and yeah, I'm busy with work, I don't control my work schedule, I'm driving or traveling all the time, so I have to eat food at the airport, or
Yeah.
it's really all these things, because I think people think that a healthy lifestyle is like you have to eat the meal plan and whatnot. I don't think they realize how much flexibility you can actually have in your life if you design it around what you want for yourself. And that's why, when I sit down with people, I'm like, okay, well, what kind of a life do you live? And let's design it around that, because that's what I did with myself. Like, I was like, what kind of a life do I want? I was like, I definitely want to be healthy, and I definitely want to be helping people. You know what I mean? So then I went and designed my life around that. So it's like you kind of have the end in mind, healthy lifestyle, and then design your life as much as you can. Obviously, some people are already set in a 9 to 5 or whatever, but there's ways.
Actually, that's really cool that the fact that you bring up all these common excuses. So if someone is short on time or has kids, etc., and can't eat right and whatnot, what tips can you give in terms of either nutrition or exercise, or how can people look after themselves? What tips can you give for people who are short on time, if that is really the real reason?
Short on time would be smoothies are great, because you could, perfect example, this is like one of my favorite smoothies at the moment, like a cucumber mixed with water and frozen strawberries. It's like a really fresh, refreshing drink. So something like that is like, you go, okay, I need to get my 5 serves of vegetables today.
Sure.
But I'm in a rush, quickly make a smoothie, drink that, and then go. And that will help satiate you. And what that's gonna do is carry you through to your lunchtime or whatever, and help you make better decisions, because when you balance your blood sugars, you can make better overall decisions around food. And so just for my number one thing that I'm always like pushing home to people is get the 2 and the 5 in, no matter what. Even if it's like you have to eat, you can eat strawberries while you're driving, or you know what I mean, like eat a banana while you're at work or something, even if you don't feel like it, because what that's going to do is going to hit those markers, and then you can make better decisions when you actually are out in front of food, and you're not at a point where you're like, damn, I'm so hungry that whatever's right in front of me, like no one goes for the salad when they're hungry. When you've hit that, when you hit that point, like you're like hungry and you're like, oh, I kind of want food, but then you get below that and you're like, I kind of want any food. Like, don't let yourself get to that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So obviously nutrition is obviously a fundamental component of what you're talking about. What about, okay, I'm gonna ask a question first. Why is it food first? And why, when people think health, they think exercise? Is food more important than exercise, or vice versa? How do they work together?
You can't out train a bad diet. Trust me, I tried. You can't, like, and people always think like, oh, I went for like a half-hour run, I can now eat all this food. But like a half-hour run is like for a Ferrero Rocher, so you just can't. Yeah, that's like a chocolate we have in Australia. I'm not sure if you guys have it over there, but like, it's the output, you just can't do it. You can't out train a bad diet. So nutrition, I think, is first and foremost, because that's really what's going to maintain your weight. And number 2, that's what's going to protect you from diseases and all of these things that have, we don't necessarily worry about it because we're young, but as you get older, like trans fats and that actually do affect your brain in that as well. So that will, these things do affect your performance at work as well. But I forgot where I was going with that. Sorry. What was the question again? Sorry.
So in terms of, I was saying that you spend a lot of time talking about nutrition and food, but when people think health, they, as an untrained individual, they think exercise first. Okay, so the question is, I think you kind of addressed it where you said, you can't out train a bad diet. So we focus on the diet side, and then are they complementary? Is one more important than the other, or
I would say that they're both important, because getting up and running and getting out and moving, it actually energizes you. You obviously, if you want a toned physique, 3 or 4 times a week doing some weight training, that will also help, protect, and it honestly feels like it like keeps your body together. Me doing Muay Thai, that's such a high impact sport. I do weight training not just for a physique, but literally to like hold my body together when it's like kicking things and that, like just to keep that strength and stability within the body. But also, like, if you train and you have a bad diet, you won't be able to recover properly, and it's actually putting your body under more stress. So it's like you need the nutrition to fuel the body and to recover the body, and then you need the exercise to grow and keep it strong. So they're both important.
Okay, that's really, really cool. So I think you mentioned a couple of good ways there about how to, for people who are short on time, they can get the nutrition, such as the smoothie idea that you mentioned, or eating whilst driving. Lead when it's safe, obviously.
Yeah, that was like an example of like, if because some people they literally do have to stop and have their lunch on the go because they're traveling a lot. So not thinking like at a traffic light or something, but well, yeah, that's the point.
Of course. And then are there any, like, in terms of getting the exercise component, are there any quick tips? Like, do we have to spend half an hour a day training? Or I think you said you do twice a day. Do we have to spend that much time to get fit? Okay, you're shaking your head. Okay, what kind of tips?
No. So the Australian Dietary Guidelines is 10,000 steps. So that is just to keep you in basic movement, so if you just do a like half-hour walk a day, it's around, and then, you can also track it. I have a watch which tracks my steps. They're not like 100% accurate, but it does give you a little bit of an idea. You can track your sleep and stuff as well. If you want, I think like the general person, go for a run twice a week so you have that cardio fitness and getting upstairs okay, and do weight training 3 to 4 times a week. That will help keep everything toned, and have muscles so you can lift stuff, but move your fridge or something.
Yeah, sure.
And go when time comes and go for a walk. And even going for a walk as the mental side of things, sometimes if I'm not an Excel spreadsheet kind of person, so if I'm stuck working on my computer and I need time, I'll go for a walk along the river with some music, and that, just being outside and resetting your brain, it gives you space to kind of settle, and then you can come back and sit back down and get your work done.
Nice, that's so cool. So Lacey, you shared so many good tips there in terms of, and your knowledge is, granted we have to, University Guidance, we have to keep these videos 20 minutes. You shared a lot. If people want to find out more about you, how can they find out more about you? Do you have any platforms or media that people can get in touch with you?
Yeah, I'm all over social media. I'm on YouTube as Lacey Rochelle. I'm on Instagram as Lacey4Health with the number 4. And I'm on Facebook as Lacey Rochelle. And you can also go and find my website lacyrochelle.com.au.
That's awesome. Thank you, Lacey. And guys, for those of you watching, I think what Lacey just mentioned, they just covered very briefly, let's be honest, in 15-20 minutes. And the fact that she's studying, she's got her own business and still managing to look after herself, I think is a really, really good example for you guys to follow and think, okay, yes, you've got an idea. Yes, it's very easy to be enthusiastic and get carried away almost, but don't ignore the fundamentals of your health, both physically and even mentally as well, because as Lacey said, the nutrition will feed the mental side, which obviously you need for running your business. Guys, that is the final session for this module. It's been a pleasure teaching you or working with you. And again, if you ever want more information about entrepreneurship, just hit the forum, or you can drop me an email. And I hope you enjoy your Christmas and the rest of your year too. Ciao for now, guys.